Welcome to Judicial Dollars and Cents, brought to you by Anders Virtual CFO Services team from all across the United States. I'm John Scott, and in each episode, we'll shine a light on the financial side of the legal world, turning law firm numbers into impact-driven stories. From taxes and profitability to practice growth and leadership, we sit down with law firm innovators who are shaping the future of the profession. Let's dive in, right here on Judicial Dollars and Cents. Hey, and welcome back to Judicial Dollars and Cents, where the business of law meets the practice of law. I'm John Scott with Anders Virtual CFO Services for law firms, and each week we sit down with successful attorneys, legal innovators, and business leaders to explore what it really takes to build a thriving law firm. We go beyond the courtroom to discuss leadership, profitability, operations, technology, AI, and the strategies that help firms grow, scale, and create lasting value. Whether you're a managing partner, an emerging firm owner, or someone passionate about the future of the legal profession, our goal is to provide practical insights that you can put to work immediately. Today, we are pleased to welcome Logan Quirk, who's the founder of Quirk Accident and Injury Attorneys. Logan is a personal injury attorney representing clients in matters involving automobile and trucking accidents, motorcycle and pedestrian injuries, rideshare claims, traumatic brain injuries, wrongful death, and other serious injury cases. Logan graduated with honors from UC Santa Barbara and earned his law degree from Santa Clara University of Law. His career started representing homeowners against large developers and insurance companies in construction defect litigation before he moved into PI law. He opened a San Diego office in 2012 and expanded into Los Angeles the following year. Today, Logan's practice has expanded beyond Southern California, and he's licensed in California, Nevada, and Montana. But what really caught my eye was his attention and his philosophy behind his firm. We listen, we prepare, we win. So today we're going to talk about personal injury law, what Logan has learned about insurance companies, building a client-first firm, the economics beyond the contingency fee model, technology and AI, and how to scale a law firm without losing personal attention that helped make it successful in the first place. Logan, welcome to Judicial Dollars and Cents.
John, thank you for having me. What an intro. I hope I live up to the hype.
I'm sure you will. Hey, Logan, I always like to hear people's origin story. And you grew up in Northern California. You studied global studies at UC Santa Barbara and then went to Santa Clara for law school. What attracted you to becoming a lawyer?
I think in high school, I always knew I wanted to go to grad school, and then my path in college, I studied something that just was kind of a passion interest for me, international relations. But I saw the career field wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. I was able to work a summer with my brother, who is older and an attorney in Las Vegas, doing construction defect as a law clerk, and I liked that. So I was fortunate enough to have enough credits to graduate a little bit early and work, and then decide to pursue law school. So I had it in the back of my mind for the most of college that I was going to law school, but it really became cemented once I did that year with my brother and working in construction defect.
Is that what he still does in Vegas in the Nevada area?
No. He left, I don't know the year, but a couple years in, he came back to California, opened his own firm after doing a few months at a firm in Ventura, opened his own shop, and was off to the races in 2008. I would say the economy in 2008 crashed, and that's when I came out of law school. So that focused his practice into representing personal injury. And it was very fortuitous for him and me, because both of us found that we really enjoyed that area of law. We could help people while also making a fair amount of money.
So that experience and some of your other work about going up against the insurance companies, tell me, what do you know about the insurance companies that our listeners need to know that can help them prevail?
Don't believe the marketing the insurance company spits out. They're billion-dollar corporations with polished images, but they are billion-dollar for-profit corporations that exist because they don't want to pay out claims, or they want to make people accept less than fair value. So it's a tactic called delay, deny, defend. That's kind of their motto, and that's their profit structure. They have boards and people that they have to report to, balance sheets that they have to keep nice and clean. So part of that process is making sure that claims go away as cheaply and fastly as possible.
Wait. Are you telling me that Flo is lying to me?
I wouldn't say she's lying to you, but Flo is very, very artfully curated marketing gimmick that really resonates with a lot of people. And I find the commercials very funny myself, but there's also truth behind the fact.
So you developed your firm around we listen, we prepare, we win. Tell me how that came about and why that's important to you.
I found that a lot of people had a cookie cutter approach, and I didn't like that. I always want to try and listen to the client first, understand their objectives. Of course, one is always to recover money, but there's a lot of clients that's not the foremost objective when they come to my office, and I think that gets lost on a lot of people. So to the extent I can, we tailor a strategy to each client to maximize their objectives, including getting as much money as possible. But sometimes that's not the primary goal that they have. So we need to make sure that our goals are aligned and we're doing what the client wants us to do.
That makes sense. So scaling what you do and keeping that personal touch, that has to be difficult. How have you done that?
Responsible scaling, that's a good question. We, as you get bigger, sometimes you do lose touch, but I think the most important thing is taking your philosophy and applying it to your team and hiring the right people in the right places, because I can't personally interact and touch with every client on every occasion. So as long as you have a team in place that shares your philosophy and is actively working at leveraging your philosophy, then you can replicate what you want with people. And then sometimes those team members bring additional strengths to the table that I don't have. So recognizing your weaknesses and filling those voids with people that excel where you don't excel, I think is a very big component to that.
That's a great goal. And I'm glad that you follow that philosophy of getting the right people in the right seats on the bus, because it's so important for you to let go and train and trust that those people will follow the culture of your firm and do the right thing. And once you can do that, you can let go and scale and know that the people below you are going to do what's necessary to serve the client.
100%. It's tough. A lot of us, we like to control everything that we can. And that's a hard lesson for a lot of people, including myself, was letting go of control and ultimately trusting the people behind you. And once you do that, if you have the right people in the right place or the right people on the right seat of the bus, as you say, I like that analogy, I'm a Steeler, then you can trust that they're going to make the right decisions and ultimately help you get to a place where you want to be.
Well, you're welcome to steal that, but it's really, I think it's from Jim Collins, Good to Great. So
okay,
we'll get the
great author.
Don't attribute it to me.
Well, that's a very, for the listeners, Jim Collins he writes several great books, and anyone wanting to scale, I would definitely pick up any of his books. Definitely very helpful.
So your story resonates with me. I spent about 17 years working with a boutique law firm that expanded to 44 states into the United Kingdom as well. And they had a playbook about going to a new city and opening up. And they followed data, they followed metrics, and they also hired the right people to follow their system. And that was what really fueled their growth. Because if you just take any qualified attorney, but they don't have the right I won't say character, but the right characteristics for your firm, you're not going to be successful. So it's really important that you get the right people that buy into your culture and will follow your system. So when we talk about the economics of running a personal injury firm on a contingent basis, what systems do you rely on? Do you follow a case management system, and how do you forecast within that case management system?
A lot of my systems were trial and error. I came out from law school, worked with my brother, and we, most attorneys aren't trained business people. So you have to learn as you do. And as I've grown, I've found most of my systems come by operation necessity. And where there's friction in the system, you have to fix the problem. So the short answer to that question is I have case management software. I have CRM. I'm getting heavily into the AI space. So whatever technology is available, whatever systems you can to help automate and systematize and delegate, those are always tip of mind, and you have to be willing to tinker a little bit. A lot of people are of the philosophy, it ain't broke, don't fix it. It might work for them, but they're going to reach a plateau and there's going to be some friction in the process. So I might be a little too quick to break down the process, but I'm always tinkering with certain things that will make my life easier.
Well, we at Anders appreciate the fact that attorneys are super smart and really good at their craft, but don't necessarily have the financial background, because what we do is come in and provide a plug and play finance department for them on a fractional basis. But I think it's important that you are open and willing to change when something's not working, and that you can break it down and go back and fix it. When you invest in a bunch of cases, you have all these prepaid case costs, which is your money, as John Morgan says, and it sits on your balance sheet until that case is settled or adjudicated. And so how are you handling those cash needs and investing in those cases? Do you use any financing, or do you have delayed gratification where you know that money will free up later?
So I will answer that question, but I want to go back to the financial component and what you do. I didn't realize how involved the data and analytics can be in getting the proper CFO and accounting piece into your firm. So I actually hired a fractional CFO, I want to say 3-4 years ago, and it's changed everything for me. So for anyone listening, it is a necessary component to running a business. So I would highly recommend looking into that option. And John probably is one of the best lead-ins that you can do to make your business, and especially your financial side. If you're like me, I hate numbers and I hate finances. So I just offloaded that to a CFO. So that's been great. With respect to your question, I do primarily rely on delayed gratification, try to keep enough cash in reserve to cover the losses, but there's always ebbs and flows. So having access to a line of credit can make your life less stressful. It sucks having to pull off of it. Some people like to leverage more debt. I personally don't like debt, so I try and finance everything myself as much as I can, but in the offhand chance that I need the cash flow, I know it's there, and it lets me sleep a little bit better at night knowing that I have a safety blanket in the event I need it.
I love your approach to debt. I don't like debt either. Debt has its purposes, maybe a term loan to, do an expansion or make a technology investment, but that line of credit is so important to give you the safety net in case you need it. And to that end, thanks for the plug on outsourcing your finances, because I do think it's important. It's not a strength of many attorneys. And some attorneys, some business owners, it's not just attorneys, will look at the operating account and say, oh, there's $100,000 there, I can take it out, but not paying attention to the fact that payroll's due next week and the rent's due 2 weeks after that. So we like to set cash targets with owners and say, look, you should have 10 to 30% of your expected annual revenue in your operating account. And that could include a line of credit access. But once you achieve those goals, that next dollar that comes into the account is available for distribution to the good guys, the owner. And so, to that end, we've developed a maturity model assessment. It's an online assessment, takes about 10 minutes, and it looks at 5 areas of your finance function, and it's self-graded. And you might find that you really do 2 to 3 of those 5 areas well, but there's 2 to 3 that you don't do well in. And we kind of work with you over the next 6 to 12 months to get incrementally better. And people that are open to incremental improvement in whatever area of their business will find they're going to make more, have better cash flow. And in your case, with a PI firm and estate planning firms and things like that, that have files that have future worth, it's a firm that is saleable. Okay. At some point, you're going to want to exit from this firm, and you're either going to transition to younger partners or you're going to sell to someone else. And this inventory of cases you have is what the value is. It's not your name. I mean, at some point you won't be here. So I just went on a huge rant there.
No, it all is hits home for me, because I am part of a network where people buy and sell law firms, and out of curiosity, I've approached them. Not that I'm looking to sell immediately, but the first thing they ask for are your financials. And if your financials are not in place, you're not going to sell your firm, or you're going to sell it for pennies on the dollar. So having the financial piece buttoned up and dialed in is one of the biggest pieces that you need in order not only to scale, but to retire or do whatever you want to do. Sell your firm, give it to your younger associates, because you don't want to leave them a financial headache where they're coming into something that's a train wreck. So I definitely emphasize having the financial side in place and finely tuned.
So speaking of metrics, and you're so right that people will pay a premium for financials they can verify and a discount for things that are a mess. But what metrics do you pay attention to? Is it number of qualified leads that come in, and then conversion rates, or ROI on marketing? What's most important to you?
So there's 3 or 4 that I really look to, and I have a meeting monthly with my financial guy, and he always hits the others that I'm not so in tune with. But mine are qualified leads, closed leads, ROI, and the number of leads that my marketing efforts are generating. Those to me signal how healthy or where my firm is going. And of course, amount of money closed per month, how much we are our net profit margin. You always want to run a 20 to 30% profit margin. So those are the key indicators that I'm looking at.
Well, and it'll also tell you when you need to hire, right? I mean, you can say, this is the number of cases any one attorney can handle, and we're bumping up against that capacity. And so, conversely, if you didn't have enough work, you'd step up your marketing efforts and bring in more opportunities.
100%.
So let's talk about AI. And 5 years ago, AI was something people talked about, and especially attorneys didn't want to gravitate to, didn't want to use. It was their art, their craft. And now it seems like all the case management systems are embracing it, and many more attorneys are embracing it. So give me some use cases for AI that you think are very valuable to your firm.
In my field, AI is wonderful. It helps attorneys and staff do some of the functions that would take hours to do. I think going back 5 years ago, people were rightfully scared because they weren't sure, but AI just came so fast and so heavy that a lot of people are now like, oh, maybe I need to start looking at this, or I need to be in this. And if you don't get in, you're going to get left behind. So specifically, my pre-litigation, we're using AI to help summarize medical records, draft demands for attorney review. That's the thing with AI is you don't want to use it as a replacement for attorney work. You always want to use it to complement what you're doing, because it can do the functions faster, infinitely faster than humans can do. So crunching medical records, analyzing them, summarizing them, putting them in chronological order has been wonderful. I'm also using it in my litigation efforts to help prepare discovery responses and propound discovery responses. So it's getting work out a whole lot faster than a human attorney, paralegal, or legal assistant can do.
Well, and you're so right. It's not going to replace the human need to review the work. But I think if it does the repeatable, mundane task, it'll give us more time to be critically analyzing and producing a product for the client that's better. And so to that end, I think if we use it ethically, it's going to be a wonderful tool. So
100%.
Imagine that you're sitting in a mastermind group and you're the speaker, and it's a bunch of attorneys that want to start a PI firm. What's the best piece of advice beyond the financials that you would give them about starting? Because really, when they go out, unless they have an inventory of cases that they're taking with them, they are starting from scratch, and it might be 9 to 12 months before they see any real cash flow.
Yeah, you have to have some cash and capital investment to start, but the number one goal and the number one thing you need to be doing is bringing in the clients. You're not going to be successful if you don't have clients. So figure out how you're going to develop a marketing plan to bring in those numbers. And when you're first starting out, you might not have the capital to invest in digital leads. So you might have to go develop relationships with people and show them how you're different than other attorneys, or how you're going to treat that client similarly to how that referring person might want that client to be treated. So my biggest piece of advice is go develop relationships with people that you're going to be doing business with for a long time. Start getting that steady inflow of cases, and then you can start figuring out what you need from there. Also, do not think about setting systems far off in advance. start developing them early on. And with Claude or ChatGPT, you can plug in whatever your prompt is, develop me a protocol for how to run my office, whatever the prompt may be, and it will spit out a operating procedure so fast, and then you can tinker with it to tailor it to your needs and how you want to run your firm. Those would probably be my pieces of advice for anyone starting out.
So to that end, in the marketing efforts, how did you attract them initially, and how has it evolved over time? What are you doing now to bring in clients?
So when I first started out, I had time and very little money. So I was, this was me going, talking to doctors, chiropractors, whoever I can get in front of, just to say, hey, I'm here. I'd like to help your clients out. This is what I can do. I know you might have relationships with other attorneys. If they're declining cases, send them to me. I'll work on them and see if we can get a result. And as my practice has evolved, my time has become less, so my marketing efforts have changed more into spending money to get digital marketing. Sorry, my puppy's barking. Digital efforts, and then also keeping up with the relationships, joining networking groups, getting in front of people that can be your marketing, your PR machine, because it's not always going to be a direct lead, but just having that seed where they have it in their head, like, oh, I know someone that does PI. I met him like a year ago, and he's been consistently showing up to this meeting that we do, and boom, there's a referral source, because it might not bear fruit immediately, but over time, if you keep consistently going and keep putting yourself in front of the right people, you're going to see the rewards.
So you've got Southern California covered, San Diego, Los Angeles, and then you've moved into Montana. You know, by the way, I'm going to be in San Diego twice this year, I think, for different conferences, and I've never been, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, you're going to love it. San Diego is a beautiful city.
I can't wait. I've heard really good things about it. Is there any thoughts of expanding beyond those 3 locations?
So Montana, I'm not really too interested in getting into. That's more of a personal side. I like California. It's so ripe with competition. There's a lot of competition, but there's also a lot of opportunity. I don't know. I thought about it, but I have enough business in California to keep me busy. And the other part about scaling is a lot of people want to scale. You also have to limit what your objective is. Do you want to become John Morgan, or do you want to keep your boutique practice and not scale to something that's almost like a corporation sized law firm? So there are degrees of scaling that will fit your goals. Not everyone wants to have the overhead or the responsibility of running a nationwide law firm, and some that do, great, please do. Some don't want that. They don't want the headache. They want to stay local. They want to be the local resource. So within the scaling, there's a wide spectrum of where you want to go, and finding your lane to fit your comfort level, I think, is probably one of the best introspections that you can do.
So Montana was really for the outdoors, and you just happened to do some work there. So I know you like
the story behind that is I moved out there. I was looking before COVID, and then so I'm not one of those people that reacted to COVID and went out there and bought a piece of land. So anyone that's listening, it's like, hey, California people, stay out of Montana. I was looking well
Which
before
is what
that,
all the locals think.
Yeah, definitely. I got barred just because COVID. I just had time and I didn't have to take the test. I got it was by motion, and so I was living there, and I was like, okay, may as well try and see what happens. So in the future, maybe it's an option that I have available to myself. Whether or not I take any action on it, I still haven't figured that out.
So you do like to fly fish. You like the outdoors. I want to talk about your best fish. What river, and what were the circumstances surrounding it?
Oh man. Well, the best fish was the one I never caught that got away. Those are always the stories from the fishermen. You should have seen the size of the thing.
You got it close to the boat, though, right?
Yeah, of course. I don't have like a recollection of this is my favorite fish. I primarily like going fly fishing for just getting outside and being in nature. I do like the sport of it, but I'm not one of those people that will spend all day on the river just to catch the fish. And if I don't catch the fish, I'm irritated at that fact. But some of my best memories are growing up in Northern California and going to Mammoth, where my grandparents had a condo. and fishing the Owens River and fishing Hawk Creek and just spending time with my family and just getting outside and just having the experience of family time and doing something that we all love to do.
I will tell you, I'm the same way. I mean, I hunt quite a bit, and it's not about killing something. It's about being in one with nature and seeing coyotes and seeing deer and turkey. And it's just phenomenal to be out there. And my wife and I fly fish. She reluctantly fly fishes because a friend of hers is really into fly fishing. And so she started fly fishing way before I did. And I fished my entire life. But I started fly fishing because of her and her friend. And we were in Livingston and fished the Yellowstone. And we hired a guide and drift boated down the river. And my wife fished about half the time and caught 8 trout. And I fished the entire time and caught 5. And I'm like, why? This is not fair. I'm fishing my butt off. And my wife is kind of, laying in the boat, getting some sun. And it's really fun though, just to be a part of that. And, being out in nature, seeing different things. And I love it.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better. And, that seems to be the rule of thumb. People that go out there and they're not putting in the full effort tend to land more fish in the boat. So I've seen that happen many times, and I used to get frustrated by that. And now it brings me joy when you have someone out there who's just out there for the first, second, whatever, not the 100th time, and they're just kind of fishing, but it's just enjoying every component of being outside and not just hyper focus on catching fish. That I think it's lost on a lot of people. And it's kind of like business. If you're hyper focused on one aspect, you're going to lose so much opportunity to enjoy the full benefits of everything.
I will tell you one more quick story about my wife and trout fishing. And this was not fly fishing. There's a dam in southern Missouri on Table Rock Lake, and out of the bottom is Lake Taneycomo, which is really a river because it's the water flowing out of the bottom of Table Rock. So it's ice cold. They've stocked it for years. And there's brown and rainbow trout in this river. Okay. So you go upstream and you drift down and you cast out and you bottom fish and you're bouncing along the bottom, and you want your line tight, right? You want to feel those bounces and then feel the hit. My wife is fishing downstream, slack line, catches the first and the biggest trout. And my boys and I are looking at each other, goes, how is this even possible? But she's just lucky like that.
Technique, imperfect, everything lines up. It's funny. Some people have a magical cast or magical thumb to get the fish on the end of the line.
They really do. Hey, Logan, before we wrap up, what is the best way for folks to get a hold of you and learn more about your firm, Quirk Accident and Injury Attorneys?
Sure. My site is quirkwins.com. I'm on Instagram at Quirk Accident Attorneys, YouTube, Quirk Wins. My telephone number, 833-QUIRK-WINS, or shoot me an email, logan@quirklawgroup.com. Happy to answer any questions anyone may have and see if I can lend some advice from other pieces of advice I've collected over the years.
Logan, thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks to all the listeners to Judicial Dollars and Cents, where the business of law meets the practice of law. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Our mission is simple: to help law firm owners build stronger businesses, deliver exceptional client experiences, and create firms that last for generations. I'm John Scott with Anders Virtual CFO Services, and we'll see you next time on Judicial Dollars and Cents. Thanks for joining us on Judicial Dollars and Cents, presented by Anders Virtual CFO Services. If you found value in today's conversation, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. To learn more about how Anders helps law firms strengthen their financial foundations and drive growth, visit anderscpa.com. Until next time, keep making smart decisions that make perfect sense.